Welcome operatives back to the Kill Team Brief. In this video, we're going to be checking out the Veteran Guardsmen, which is one of the slides that you're going to get in the new Kill Team box set. In the box set itself, they are the Corp of Krieg, the elite soldiers born, possibly vat grown, and raised to fight the eternal war, the everlasting war of the 41st millennium. As these are veterans, they've generally been around a lot longer than your average Astra Militarum soldier. In fact, this is so much of a different faction that you get the Veteran Guardsmen and then the normal Astra Militarum. So when it comes to rules wise and how you deal with factions, these are technically different, even though they have a lot of the keywords, which we'll talk about when we look at some of the data slates. Keep that in mind. These guys have been on dozens of battlefields. They're lucky enough, you could say, to become part of elite kill teams that are required for very specific missions. So in this video, we're going to be going over a few of the data slates that we have, some of the units, and some of the other rules specific to the Veteran Guardsmen. I think there's a lot of interesting things there, so let's get stuck in. To begin with, let's look at a basic Trooper Veteran data slate. This is the stock standard Veteran Guardsmen that you'll be taking when you build your fire teams. You will be taking probably a handful of these. These are your stock standard guys, and all the other units for the Veteran Guardsmen are based upon this and built upon it. So as you can see, there's no special abilities or unique actions, no special rules or critical damage rules for the weapons. It's stock standard. So let's have a look at it. We have looked at this briefly previously. We'll go through and we'll talk about each of the different stats that these units have. So a move of 3 circle, which is 6 inches. And we're still not sure on the exact way to describe these things. I'm starting to think of it as 3 times 2 inches. And we can see that other units have a 2 circle moves. For example, the Necron Warrior has a 2 circle move, so it's a lot slower than a Trooper Veteran or a normal humanoid style, but we're gonna go 3 circle, 6 inches. These models have an APL of 2, which means they can do 2 different activations in each of their turns. So they can move and shoot or shoot and shoot. We're not quite sure exactly on the restrictions if you can shoot twice in one turn, because if you can shoot twice in one turn, that's really powerful for particularly snipers. So we really have to get the rule book so we get into the nitty gritty of that. It has a GA, which we now know is called group activation, and it has a GA of 2. This means it can activate with another model in your team. How that works exactly, we don't know. For example, is it the same type of model or a particular keyword down in the bottom that you can see? We don't know, but generally some units will have 1, some other units will have 2. So it's actually a very powerful rule. And when it comes down to games, this is going to be very nuanced in how you use it. So you can activate 2 veteran troopers at once and effectively shoot 4 times if you can shoot twice in each activation, which is pretty powerful. You're really rolling 16 dice to shoot. And if you do hit them all, you can do 16 times 3 damage if you get crits. It's very powerful. They have a defense of 3, which is pretty stock standard. A save of 5, so not amazing, but I have seen some of 2+ saves. I think I've also seen a 6+ save, so it's sort of in the middle, and a wound rating of 7, so not amazingly powerful. Obviously this is almost a baseline human, a little bit more stronger, particularly when it comes to wounds and saves. Overall, that's what you're going to get. It comes with 2 weapons, ranged weapon of a las gun and close weapon of a bayonet. Again, check out the shooting rules video that I put out a while ago. A lot of people have really liked that because I go through and roll dice as well, just to show off what kind of damage you can do with these. And a las gun and bayonet, pretty middle of the road. It's nothing amazing. As you can see, it's just a 2 normal damage, 3 crit damage, and you're not really rolling that much dice. It's almost like each dice is 50-50 to hit. No special rules, no special critical rules, stock standard. And like I said, abilities and unique actions, nothing there. In this stage, it's important to look at the keywords here. First important one is I guess it's the faction-ish that they belong to, which is the Veteran Guardsmen. Then you kind of have the sub-factions and keywords. So sub-faction here would be Imperium and Astra Militarum. So you could have things that target units with Imperium keyword or Astra Militarum keyword. Then we have Regiment. With Regiment, you're going to be able to give different keywords there. For example, the models we have here are the Corp of Krieg. So that would be the regiment. Another different regiment would be Cadian or Catachan, that kind of thing. And then we have the type of unit it is, which is the Trooper Veteran. So this is your stock standard Veteran Guardsman. So there's a step up from this, which is the Hardened Veteran. Its basic stats are exactly the same as a Veteran Guardsman or Trooper Guardsman, Trooper Veteran, whatever we call them, except the group activation is 1, so you can only activate this 1 at a time. The las gun and the bayonet are exactly the same. However, this guy comes with a bionic arm. So it's attack 3, weapon skill of 4+, and then damage is 4/5. It is markedly better when it comes to damage when compared to the bayonet. This unit does have a special ability, which is Hardened by War. So each time this operative operative would lose a wound, roll a d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. And you can also ignore any or all modifiers to this operative's APL. So from looking at a lot of the different abilities and different rules that we know of, when you get wound, you will basically start to bleed and it will affect your APL. So you really want to use your medics, use your health packs if you can get health packs and things like that to circumvent when you take wounds. For example, if a hardened veteran takes some wounds, normally it would suffer a penalty to its APL. So it may lose -1 APL. In this case, you don't always have to. If you roll a 5+, you don't lose the wound, but you can also ignore the effects of a modifier to your APL. Pretty standard as well. So we also have rules for the Comms Veteran. This is a special unit that you can get in the Veteran Guardsmen. Again, the stats are pretty much the same, as this is a bit more of an elite unit with some special abilities and unique actions, as you can see below. It has a group activation of 1, so you can only activate this 1 at a time. So I will come back to the relay orders of the abilities because I want to talk about that separately. We do have some more information about what an order is when it comes to the Veteran Guardsmen. So let's talk about the unique action. We have definitely covered this in another video, so if you haven't seen it, don't worry, we'll go over it now. So for 1 AP, a Comms Veteran can play an action called Signal. So you select 1 Veteran Guardsman, operative within red pentagon, which is 6 inches. And when you get the game, you will have plastic rulers, and this is the long ruler. The model has to be visible to this operative. You can add 1 to that model's APL. It's pretty powerful, but you can't perform this action if it's within engagement range of an enemy operative, which makes sense. So this guy can stand there and shoot or move and then give an extra action point to a friendly guardsman, which is pretty cool. I think that's a really powerful thing. This game is very much focused on using your action point resource very effectively. And I think we're really going to see that getting the most out of your AP is really going to separate the good players from the okay players. If you can manage that resource for each of your units and your kill team as a whole, I think you're really going to be able to do a lot more in a game than you wouldn't be able to normally. So let's talk about the relay orders. So Comms Veteran has this ability to give an order to every unit in the kill team. We have to talk about orders. A Sergeant Veteran, which you generally only get 1 in each of your fire teams or your kill teams, they have this ability to give out orders. You give out orders in the strategy phase. We only have 1 example at the moment, and it's called Fixed Bayonets, so we've got that on screen now. So each time a friendly operative that was issued this order fights in combat, in a roll attack dice step of that combat, you can re-roll any or all of your attack dice results of 1. Now, you can only give this to 1 of your units in your kill team. However, if you go to the Comms Veteran card, their ability of relay orders, when this operative is issued a guardsman order, it can relay it. If an order is relayed, subtract 1 from this operative's APL, so it costs them 1 APL to do it, and all veteran guardsman operatives in the kill zone are issued that order. So if the Sergeant Veteran gives a fixed bayonet to the Comms Veteran, that Comms Veteran can spend 1 APL and then give that same order to every model in that unit. So effectively they all get fixed bayonets instead of just 1 normally getting it. You could see the Sergeant Veteran and the Veteran Comms being very close to each other. So I'm guessing you would want to keep them somewhat within range of each other so they can either see each other or have the ability where the Comms Veteran can take the order and then spread it out to the rest of the team, which thematically, it's such a cool idea how a unit would work in reality. You have someone issuing orders and someone giving that order out that is built into the game itself for this unit. I don't know if this would be available for other similar units. There may be one for your standard guardsman or the Tempestus Scions. Don't really know. We'll see what cards come out, what rules come out. I just really love that idea. There are other orders that you can give. There are 4 different orders, including fixed bayonets. We don't know what the other ones are yet at the moment, but I'm assuming there'll be some like shooting ones, some morale type ones, or extra movement ones like you get a bonus charge. I'm assuming there's going to be a little bit like that. So let's look at a few of the other rules that we do have. I'm just sort of picking and choosing these from various different articles and social media feeds that Games Workshop have. So it's not comprehensive, so it's starting to get a little bit scattered now, but I'll give you an idea of what you can do. There is a special rule that the Veteran Guardsmen get called Second in Command. So if a friendly Sergeant Veteran operative is incapacitated or removed from the kill zone, you can nominate this operative for command. If you do, until the end of the battle, it gains the leader keyword and the Guardsman orders ability. So if you do lose your Sergeant Veteran, it doesn't affect your Guardsman orders ability. So you can still have someone issue those orders. So you may have a really souped up Sergeant Veteran that really gets in and starts fighting. If they die off in like the first 2 turns, that's okay. You can still get orders out through someone else. You just nominate another model to be the leader. And based on the reading of this rule, if that new leader dies, then you can't really do it again because it has to be a Sergeant Veteran. And as far as I can tell so far, based on how you build your fire team and your kill teams, you're only going to get 1 or 2 Sergeant Veterans. I'm assuming for the Veteran Guardsmen, you're only going to be able to take 1 fire team, and therefore you'd only be able to take 1 Sergeant Veteran. So while you don't spend points to build your kill team, if you're playing matched games, you get 10 points to purchase equipment that you can give to different models. And then if you're playing a narrative game or a campaign style game, you'll earn these points over time and you can buy different types of equipment. For example, we have on screen the trench shovel. For 2 equipment points, you can give a model a trench shovel and they can do an ability called Dug Trench. While this operative is wholly within your drop zone, each time an enemy operative makes a shooting attack, if it is more than circle, which is 2 inches, away from this operative is treated as being in cover provided by light terrain. This operative loses this ability if it basically gets out of the way. It's more thematic than anything. You could apply the same kind of rules to a barricade. You could have a demolition specialist or a builder specialist that can build barricades. So they can build a barricade for 2 EP, they can drop one down, and it essentially has the same kind of rules. So this is where one of the types of points come in. So you have your equipment points, but you also have your command points. Don't really know how you generate command points. Looks like you just generate it at the beginning or the end of your turn. There may be other ways to generate command points, probably similar in ways to standard 40k or Age of Sigmar. Veteran Guardsmen have obviously an overcharge command rule that you can spend 1 CP. So the rule text is, until the end of the turning point, change the profile of lasguns that friendly Veteran Guardsmen operatives are equipped with to the following. For 1 turn, and we haven't really mentioned this, but a turn is called a turning point. I think then there's 4 turning points in 1 game. That's to really make sure the games are fast and snappy and you get in and get the job done. So your lasgun becomes an overcharged lasgun. So you have the standard amount, but you also have an overcharged profile. Standard doesn't have any special rules. Overcharged has an AP1, which based on terminology, we can make a good assumption and say that it's an armor piercing one. The save of the target would be -1. So you roll a 3 on your D6, it's going to be a 2. And it also runs hot. Don't know what the hot rule is. It's possible that it could be you can't shoot the next turn, or you have to roll some dice, or you're going to take some damage. So you're going to get a little bit more oomph out of your gun. It doesn't do any more damage. It's likely to do more effective damage because their target save is reduced, if that's what we're saying AP1 is. So it may be you've got a big target in the way, they're pretty close to dying, we just want to give them just a little bit of extra help. We don't have any other ideas of what things will be. I'm sure there'll be lots of different tactics that you can get. When we get the box, I'm sure they're going to be in that card pack, so we're going to get a ton of different strategies and stratagems and tactics and things like that. There's 2 more things I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Veteran Guardsmen. We have these thing called tactical assets. There's really no information on how you buy them or pay for them, other than that you can use once each per battle. So there's a couple of different ones and you can take 2, then use once per battle. How you actually use them, I don't know. It could be you just select 2 and there you go. The 2 tactical assets that Warhammer community have shown off really show off what the Veteran Guardsmen can do. They have access to a lot of stuff outside of their direct unit. If you would compare them to a normal guardsman kill team, again, we haven't seen many, if any, rules of those guys. They wouldn't have access to this kind of more advanced tactics, I guess. They'd be more focused on what they can do and what they have at their resources, rather than the Veteran Guardsmen seem to have access to a wide variety of things, particularly when it comes to blowing things up, because the Veteran Guardsmen are somewhat based on the Corp of Krieg, and those are the models that you get in the box. So let's talk about these 2. First off, we have the artillery barrage. So when you play this tactical asset, you perform a shoot action using the ranged weapon below. And for the purposes of line of sight, you draw visibility and cover lines from a friendly Veteran Guardsman operative. So it could be any of them. For the purposes of this weapon special rules, treat that Veteran Guardsman operative as performing the shoot action, just in case there's something from that, because there's some special rules that may impact that. So this artillery barrage, roll 6 attack dice, has a ballistic skill of 5+, so not hugely amazing, and then a damage of 2-3. Again, not huge damage weapon, it's pretty much a baseline las gun, effectively, but it does have special rules of barrage, blast, and indirect. Barrage, really don't know what that is. It's possible that it could ignore terrain. If that's the case, this actually becomes somewhat bit more powerful. So you may have a bunch of enemy units entrenched in some terrain and you really got to get rid of them. So artillery barrage, see if you can take them out. Blast of a circle, which is 2 inches. So from the point that you send the artillery barrage, it would be a blast radius of that, so 2 inches. So basically a 4-inch circle. And it's also indirect. So I read that as you don't have to particularly target a unit. you can target a location on the map. So you may have some enemy units that are, well, I don't know, 3 inches apart. You can put the artillery barrage right between them, so you're not actually targeting one of those units, but because it's a blast, it will cover both of them. Again, we don't know the exact wording of these special rules. I think we're getting a pretty good idea of what they actually entail. We also have marked airstrike. So this is somewhat similar. So you perform a shoot action using the ranged weapon below for the purposes of line of sight, draw visibility and cover lines from a friendly veteran guardsman operative. And then you treat that veteran guardsman as performing the shoot action. Similar. So for this one, we have 1 less attack. So 5 dice, ballistic skill of 4. So it is 1 plus better. And then it does more damage, 3 or 4. It is a barrage and a blast. So as above, barrage, it may ignore terrain. Again, we don't know exactly what that keyword is or that special rule. We're just sort of guessing. Blast, effectively a 4-inch circle, but is not indirect, so it's obviously a marked airstrike. While it is more likely to do more damage, you do actually have to target someone, and therefore you've got to consider things like line of sight, visibility, and cover. So I think these 2 tactical assets can be pretty powerful when used at the right time, particularly when you've got an enemy kill team that has a lot of bunched up models. So when you consider these tactical assets, the orders that the sergeant can give, the way that the common specialist works in relaying those orders, you can see that this is a very elite, very well-disciplined faction that are really going to be able to entrench themselves and just shoot away. Once we do get more of the rules in and we do get the official rules and all the different weapon profiles, assets, orders, abilities, data slates and all of that, we'll be able to go much more in depth, really see how these guys operate. But I'm actually really interested. I get the impression you just sit back and you just shoot. You just go pew, 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 pew. Not really. I'm sure you can do many other things because they are pretty tough. I think shooting is where they're really going to excel. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I will see you in another video.